The system said I was a crybaby, so it gave me the villain script. I wiped at my cheeks, looked up at my 6'3" brother, and stammered, "I'm sorry, but you're a jerk, and I have to humiliate you?" The system barked in my head, "Keep insulting him! Slap him!" "Stupid idiot," I managed to say. I teetered onto my toes, and trembling reached for his face. My hand landed in a weak, feather-light slap. Kale seemed to find it amusing. In this book's world, the man destined to become the coldest, most ruthless regent in history, Kale was on his knees in the snow. Father had just learned Kale was not his blood and had thrown him out into the freezing night as punishment. I was Faye, his hated stepsister, assigned to bring him a bowl of scalding chicken soup in his hour of disgrace. Not to drink, of course, but to pour over his legs. "Stop crying," the system roared. "You'll weep away every chance you have." Sniff. "But I'm terrified," I answered internally. My legs shook so badly the bowl rocked. It wasn't entirely my fault. Kale was terrifying. His eyes were hard, his presence commanding, and even kneeling he filled the space like a mountain. He stood 6'3". He was a soldier hardened by battle, the kind of man who could break a neck with one hand. He'd just come from training, still in close leather armor that did nothing to hide the strength beneath. The rise and fall of his chest was more daunting than anything else. I fought to control my tears, though blisters were already forming on my palms from holding the hot bowl. I stepped closer, whispering, "Brother, I'm so sorry." I let my hands relax, the bowl tipping, but Kale heard the apology and turned in time. With 2 fingers, he flicked the bowl aside. Only a few hot drops splashed on his thigh. He frowned, preparing to scold me, and then fresh tears spilled down my face. The system yelled again, furious. "Are you stupid? Why apologize? Are you brain dead?" "I'm sorry, I've never done this before," I tried to explain. "Do you want to finish this mission and leave this world or not? If you keep being cowardly, I'll leave you here to be tortured by Kale once he goes evil." It threatened. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." My apologies dissolved into loud sobs. Kale's anger softened into irritation. "Were you holding that a long time?" he asked, glancing at the blisters on my hands. I nodded. "Don't play the saint now," he said flat. "It's distracting. It's ugly, and you've stained my clothes." My chest froze. In the original tale, Faye scalded Kale's legs so badly that combined with the long kneeling, he became permanently crippled. He was later healed by the heroine who nursed him back to health. Kale never forgave Faye. When he rose to regency, he punished her with a daily branding, letting the wounds heal, then tearing them open to brand her again. Cruelty and a long memory were his marks. A loud mouth and a painful fate were mine. The system screeched in disbelief. "Why does he think you brought soup for him to drink? Is he insane? Why is he seeing good in you?" "Because I'm timid and soft-hearted," I thought, not daring to tell the system. "Fix this now," it ordered. "Kick him, stomp his leg, try to break it." I scrambled to obey, lifting my right foot. Kale, who had been looking away with a cold, dismissive air, suddenly stiffened and lowered his head. A delicate embroidered slipper pressed against his lower abdomen, moving back and forth, its pressure slight, not painful, the single pearl on its toe quivering. My voice came out small and nasal as I sniffled. "Brother, are you angry now?" "Host, you call that a kick? I could breathe harder than that." The system bellowed. I swallowed the tears, determined not to break down in front of Kale again. The system's scolding rattled me, and I started to pull my foot back, but another harsh order forced me to press it against him once more. "But I think he is angry. His ears are bright red." I protested in a small voice. His ears really were flushed, almost translucent with color, as if all the blood had rushed there. He stared at my slipper, then shot me a freezing look. "Faye, do you even know what you're doing?" he asked, and the question frightened me. Ignoring the system's threats, I dissolved into sobs. "I'm sorry," I whimpered, trying to yank my foot away. In an instant, Kale's hand snatched my ankle. His palm was hot. His long fingers closed around me with effortless strength. Startled, I lost my balance and tumbled into the snow at his feet. The tears I'd been holding in burst free. Only then did he let me go. He pushed his chin up and looked down at my collapsed, pitiful self with a chill of indifference. "If you ever come near me again, it won't just be a tumble." I nodded, shaking, and scrambled away. A few paces later, I stopped and turned about deeply, repeating, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then I hurried forward to brush the mud from his clothes, but my hand brushed something hard and raised beneath the fabric. A dagger hidden at his side. For the first time, I saw a flash of alarm cross. He grabbed my wrist, hauled me to my feet, so we were level, and hissed. Don't get any ideas, it's just that it's been a long time. It's easy to... He cut himself off with a breath, then spat. Get away from me. His voice had the weight of a veteran, and it made my legs go rubbery. I stumbled backward through the snow. Back in my room, I finally let out a shaky laugh and asked the system, "That counts as success, right, Mr. System?" I ticked off the points with my fingers. I spilled soup. I kicked him, and he got mad and shouted. The system went quiet for a beat, then said in a voice all sharp and annoyed, "Your next task is to imprison Kale after the family casts him out. You will whip him. You will humiliate him every day." How do I humiliate him? I asked. Improvise, it said. Then change its mind. No, forget that. When the time comes, follow my orders. Exactly. Not a word more, not a move more. Understand? I nodded. The system was still lecturing. Faye, do you understand what exactly means? If I tell you to breathe hard, don't breathe softly. If I tell you not to cry, swallow those tears back right now. I clenched my hands. I'll try harder next time. I'm sorry, Mr. System. I messed things up for you. That seemed to plate it. One more thing, the system added, its tone sliding into a cruel, casual mockery. Remember this line exactly. You must get it right. It delivered the line with a cold flick. Brother, for the rest of your life, you are fit for only one thing: to be my dog. When Kale was finally expelled, his back bore the marks of being beaten with rods, his thin linen doing nothing against the cold. He left with only his service sword and a scented sachet from our mother. He looked solitary, but he held himself stiffly. Even defeated, there was no slump to his spine. I thought he might not care about the house any longer, but at the gate, he turned and called to a servant. "Where is Faye?" The servant's face hardened. "Kale, you are no longer part of this family. Why should we tell you where Miss Faye is?" Something flickered in Kale's eyes, then settled into a cold sneer. Good. I'm glad that pest won't be in my way. From now on, this family and I are done. I was hiding in an alley nearby, and the words made me flinch. How did he know I planned to interfere? "Stop trembling, he's coming, grab the club and go, hit him over the head and haul him to the carriage," the system barked. I bolted from hiding and didn't bother with niceties. I raised the heavy wooden club and brought it down. Flack. Kale slumped without a sound. I breathed. "I'm sorry, brother," then quickly checked the ground had been swept and a small mat was laid out. It would be rude to let him face plant into mud. I hooked my arms under him and dragged him toward the carriage. He was thinner than I'd expected, his cheekbones sharp, his eyes slightly hollowed. He was barely 20 and had endured betrayal, punishment, exile, yet he had not cried. I felt a weird admiration, a wish that in another life I might have been his friend. He was so large I worried his head would hit the carriage door, so I cupped it against my chest to study him. Kale was unconscious. The system didn't care for small mercies. Once inside, I noticed his fever. His face flushed deep red. "Why do you care? He won't die," the system grunted. "You could stab him and he'd survive. He's the male lead." I set my jaw and took charge. I fastened an iron collar around his neck, clamped shackles on wrists and ankles, tied him to a chair with heavy rope, even removed a shirt. Everything was in place. Now all that remained was to wait for him to wake. Then the humiliation would begin. When he wakes, you're going to throw a bucket of cold water on him. Then you whip him hard until he's furious, struggling but still trapped. Got it? I nodded quickly. And when he reaches that point of pure humiliation, you look at him without pity, cold and sharp, and tell him to be your dog. Understood? I nodded again, faster this time. I'd been practicing that line for days. I didn't want to let Mr. System down, not after all the trouble it went through, stuck with a useless crybaby like me. I gripped the bucket tightly, forcing down the uneasy guilt twisting inside me. Don't hold back this time. Make sure you aim for his face and dump it all, the system urged, full of energy. I clenched my jaw, lifted the bucket high, and just as I was about to pour, Kale's eyes snapped open. "What are you doing?" Panic shot through me. I stumbled backward, tripped on the whip lying on the ground, and the freezing water splashed all over me instead. Splash! The shock hit instantly. My clothes clung to me, the cold biting deep. Don't cry. Don't cry. I trembled violently, biting my lip to stop myself from sobbing. The chains clinked as Kale instinctively tried to stand, only to be restrained by the ropes. His eyes blazed. Faye, what kind of game is this? You trip over your own feet everywhere you go? The system shrieked. Mr. System, I'm sorry, I whispered quickly. My arms were sore. I couldn't hold it steady. I didn't mean to, so what if he's awake? Just throw the water, but it might get in his eyes. I protested weakly. It's dirty water. He could get an infection. The system groaned in despair. Fine, just repeat after me. Exactly. Its tone turned cold and mocking. Brother, after all, we were family once. You've treated me so kindly through the years. How could I ever let you go easily? Hugging my soaked clothes tight against me, I lifted my chin and repeated, Brother, after all, we were family once. You've treated me so kindly through the years. How could I ever let you go easily? To Kale, though, I must have looked pitiful, red-eyed, dripping, trembling from the cold, with a forced smile that barely hid the fear underneath. Wait, that doesn't sound right, the system muttered, confused. Kale didn't look angry anymore. The sharp fury in his eyes was gone. If you couldn't bear to let me go, he asked quietly, then why didn't you come see me off when I left? What? What kind of disgusting thing is that to say? The system exploded. You're enemies, not lovers. It echoed automatically. Who cares if I came to see you off? I'm your enemy. The words soft and shaky came out nothing like the system intended. They sounded almost tender, like a confused confession. Kale actually smiled. No, I didn't tell you to say that. Take it back. Huh? How do I take it back? I whispered helplessly, flustered. Just pretend you didn't hear that last part. Forget it. Grab the whip and hit him already. I snatched up the whip, holding it with both hands. I had practice so I wouldn't strike myself again. My gaze drifted to his bare chest. This time, I had to get it right. The whip sliced through the air. Crack. It curled around Kale's side, leaving a red welt that deepened with each heartbeat. He let out a low grunt, his eyes snapping to mine. Good. It's working. Keep going. And the system crowed, but I couldn't feel any excitement, only guilt. The cellar was already cold, and I was drenched to the skin. My body shook uncontrollably, and every breath burned. Trying to keep my composure, I said softly, Yes, thank you, Mr. System. The whip struck again, but my aim slipped. The lash caught the inside of his thigh. Kale's brows drew together, a dark, unreadable fire flickering in his gaze. Careful, he muttered. Mr. System, I whispered. Does this count as in being angry? What's wrong with you? Your voice sounds weird. I'm fine, I insisted weakly. Just a little tired. I can finish. My vision blurred, the room spinning around me. I forced myself upright, and through the dizziness, I delivered the line I'd practiced endlessly. Brother, for the rest of your life, you are fit for only one thing, to be my dog. I couldn't tell if he answered. My body swayed, heavy and numb. I took a few uneven steps forward and collapsed against him. Huh? Where does he keep that dagger? I couldn't see it before, but I can feel it now. That was my last thought before darkness swallowed everything. When I came to, fever had baked my lips dry and left my eyes parched. A stranger lay on the bed beside me. He turned, revealing a face so classically handsome it might have been sculpted. He looked at me blankly. Then the first thing he said sent me into fresh sobs. You don't remember me, host, do you? I started crying all over again. The system, awkward and officious, dabbed at my tears and ordered me to stop. I'm giving you 1 month of sick leave, but you'd better recover properly. It's fine, Mr. System, I said, trying to sound brave. I can manage. The system sighed, then dropped the news. He slipped his bonds after you fainted. I had to materialize and save you. Otherwise, he would have strangled you. But because I intervened, he escaped. Guilt welled up in me. I'm sorry I ruined it again. Maybe I really am useless. The system hurried to backtrack, embarrassed. No, I shouldn't have said that. Don't take it personally. Does that mean I did well this time? I asked, hopeful. I guess, it muttered, lying there on that soft bed. I smiled and told myself we would both work hard to get home soon. Back in my real life, things had been rough. I'd been bullied for 6 years. By the time my parents noticed, my timid, fearful personality was already set. They quit stressful jobs, and out of guilt, they smothered me with kindness. That's why I hated doing harm. I knew how a single cruel act could scar someone forever. The system's voice turned sharp, reminding me of the stakes. Remember, in your original timeline, your body has terminal cancer. You don't have long. But my parents are there, I answered immediately. The system's tone softened, but only a little. It explained the plot. Kale escapes. The heroine nurses him back to health in a month, and he later returns to the capital with allies. He will learn who his real father is, Duke Arden, and keep it secret to sharpen his revenge. Meanwhile, I will mistakenly believe he remains helpless and grow bolder in my taunts. I committed every detail to memory. Then the system revealed its disguise here. I'll be your distant cousin, Aiden. Kale could appear at any time, so take me with you everywhere. Understood. Yes, brother. Aiden, I answered meekly. A month later, Aiden had become part of my social image. Everyone knew that the scheming Fae now had a devoted, dazzling cousin who never left her side. The jealous looks from other women felt like small fires. Privately, however, Aiden fussed over me. That woman outright called you lowborn. Why didn't you throw hot tea in her face and kick her? He scolded, pinching my cheek. I kept my head down. I argued back. I said I wasn't lowborn. Aiden huffed. Fine, we'll let her off. This party's trash anyway. Kale probably isn't even here. Come on, we'll give her a slap or two and go. Aiden entered the banquet hall, me trailing obediently behind him when a cold, hostile presence at my back made me freeze. In a dim corner, Kale sat, staring into his wine cup. He'd changed. The broken young man who left home was gone. Now he was seated like a ruler, flanked by attendants. He wore a black and silver cloak, a dark jade circlet holding his hair, and he carried himself with composed nobility. Brother Aiden, I hissed. Aiden spun and pulled me behind a potted plant. Did he see you? He whispered urgently. I don't think so, he breathed out in relief. Good. We need a plan. A sly, dangerous grin spread across his face. I've got an idea. As his grin grew, dread crept up my spine. Aiden leaned in and began whispering a meticulous, cruel plan into my ear. Brother Kale, you have been staring at that cup a long time, Marcus remarked. Kale blinked, came back to the present, and gave a small shake of his head. Is that Dr. Leanna and General Marcus? What an honor, someone said, spotting Kale's companions and hurrying over with a toast. Their eyes then landed on Kale himself, taking in his unfamiliar, striking face. And who might this gentleman be? Isn't that the bastard from the Callan family, Kale? A low voice strolled. Aiden, cup in hand, deliberately strolled past Kale's table, feigning surprise and interrupting the chatter. Marcus and Leanna went instantly icy, Marcus snapping. Watch your mouth, sir. Kale is our friend, and we will not stand for insults. Aiden threw his head back with a mock, "Oh my," laughing so theatrically that tears seemed to form at the corners of his eyes. He dabbed at them with exaggerated delicacy, his face an arrogant mask, then sneered. Kale, do your friends know? You used to be my sister's dog. With practiced cruelty, he tipped his cup, drenching Kale with wine. My heart hammered. Aiden's performance was flawless. Marcus leapt up, fury written across his face, and grabbed Aiden's wrist. Leanna produced a handkerchief, looking pained as she reached to wipe the wine from Kale's face. Kale gently pushed her hand away and rose slowly to his full, imposing height like a storm gathering. He fixed Aiden with a blank, unreadable stare. That look is terrifying, like he wants to rip me apart. The system muttered in my head. All right, it's your turn. I swallowed and stepped out from our hiding place, holding my wine cup like a prop, forcing a rude expression. First, I shot Marcus a glare. Let go of him! How dare you touch my brother Aiden, you peasant! Marcus's eyes narrowed, his hands clenching. What did you say? Leanna intervened quickly. Let it go, Marcus. We must remain guests. I adopted Aiden's cold sneer. And what would you do? Even if you could? A common thug who lucked into a general's title? A dirt-poor commoner? And my gaze slid to Kale. Only then did I notice he had been watching me the whole time. I forced my face into contempt and let out 2 sharp, derisive laughs. And you, long time no see. You have sunk even lower, haven't you, Kale? Long time no see, Marcus repeated, puzzled. Kale ignored him and asked me, You call him Brother Aiden? His voice was calm, but a chill ran through me. Why wasn't he angry? I pressed the advantage, my tone hard. He may be my distant cousin, but we are very close. Why should you care if I call him brother? Kale turned back to Marcus. She said, Long time no see, because her name is Faye. She's the sister I grew up with at the Ken household. Leanna and Marcus looked at me with thinly veiled disgust, though they held back for Kale's sake. Sensing the mood, I moved to the main stunt. The system's plan was meant to outrage Kale, and it was cruel in the best possible way for the script. I raised my cup toward him. My cousin spoke some truths and upset your friends. Allow me to apologize on his behalf. A toast to you, shall we? Brother Kale, don't drink that. Leanna and Marcus cried together. Kale glanced at the cup, then noticed a faint smear of lipstick on the rim. This cup, someone is drunk from it. Damn it, did he see it? The system panicked in my head. I'm sorry I missed the detail, I blurted inwardly. It's not your fault. I forgot to tell you to wipe it off. Besides, how are his eyes so sharp? The system fretted. With no time to spare, I slightly extended a fingertip from my sleeve, wiped away the mark, and lied, my face flushing. To preempt trouble, I added a threat. Kale, are you refusing my apology? Don't forget, you are a commoner now, and I am the daughter of a noble house. Before I could finish, Kale took the cup and drained it in one long swallow. Haha, he actually drank your spit. What an idiot! The system hauled with laughter. I was thrilled too. We did it. That went perfectly. Brother Kale, Leanna, and Marcus shouted, alarmed. I revealed the truth, laughing cruelly. You really fell for it, Kale. I spit in that wine. Aiden stepped up beside me, pointing mockingly. Pathetic. Did you really think my sister would ever apologize to you? Kale stood there silently, holding the empty cup. A faint color rose along his neck, and for a heartbeat, I thought we had broken him. But instead, he laughed. Huh? So, you're still bullying me, little sister? He said softly, his fingers brushing the cup's rim. I remembered clearly how much he hated filth. Yet, when his eyes met mine, there was no disgust, no shame, only quiet composure as expected of the story's male lead. His calm was absolute. Days passed, and Aiden and I found new ways to torment Kale. 3 more days, the system told me. Then the emperor dies, the child emperor takes the throne, and Kale's real identity as the duke's son will be exposed. With the late emperor's blessing, he'll become prince regent. He climbs fast, I murmured. Of course he's the protagonist, the system sighed. Once he became regent, my cruelty would come back to haunt me. But first, there was one last act to complete. When Kale had left the Cullen estate, he'd owned only 2 things, his sword and a small scented sachet left by his mother. I knew as his tormentor how deeply he treasured it. According to the story, I was supposed to hire a gang of thugs to beat him and burn the sachet before his eyes. That moment was what sealed Faye's fate in the original plot. Kale would later confront her, coldly, offering mercy, only if she could return the sachet unharmed. Since it was gone, she would die in despair. The system gave me new orders. You can't actually destroy it. Just hide it. When Kale demands it, show it to him and you'll survive. Once that happens, your mission's done. I'll extract you from this world. I hesitated. Won't changing the story cause problems? No, it's fine. Trust me, the system said quickly. In the real plot, Kale breaks every bone in your body. It's a slow, excruciating death. You've played your part well. Skipping one detail won't matter. Seeing my uncertainty, he added softly, Worst case, I'll write a report to HQ. You'll be long gone to another world by then. A new world? I repeated in confusion. Aren't I supposed to go back to mine? The system abruptly changed the topic. Focus, Faye. This is your last mission. If you fail, you'll be stuck here forever. Aiden opened his eyes as we crouched behind an alley wall. Kale's carriage rolled closer until it stopped suddenly. My lord, the wheels are jammed with gravel. We can't move. It's fine. We're near enough. I'll walk. Kale stepped down and started past our hiding place. Aiden whistled sharply, and the hired thugs rushed out, surrounding Kale with drawn blades. Even with his skill, he couldn't fight so many. They forced him down, his face scraping against the gravel. I flinched as Aiden stepped from the shadows. Kale's glare found him instantly, then shifted to me. I let out a cruel laugh. We meet again, Kale. I knelt and reached for his waist. His body went rigid, but before he could resist, I pulled the sachet free and held it high in triumph. Kale lifted his head, his voice steady but dark. I remember everything you've done. Just wait a few more days. This isn't necessary. Wait for what? My execution. I gripped the sachet tightly as Aiden brought forward a small brazier of glowing coals. Kale's pupils shrank, horror flickering across his face. Sister, don't. That was my mother's. Of course, I wasn't going to burn it. I remembered the way bullies had torn apart my childhood mementos, mocking me for having parents who cared. The pain of that had stayed with me. My fingers trembled. Tears welled up unbidden. Before the first could fall, Aiden pulled my head to his chest. Useless girl, he hissed, but his hand gently patted my hair. Then he snatched the sachet and tossed it into the brazier. No! Kale's roar shook the air. He broke free, grabbed a sword, and in a blur of motion, cut through the thugs like a storm. He seized the brazier with bare hands, sifting through the burning coals until only ashes remained. Meanwhile, Aiden secretly pressed the real sachet into my palm. Mission complete. Let's go home and celebrate. Oof, the system started to say before stumbling. His grip on me slipped and I fell. I looked up just in time to see Kale lunging for him in pure fury. Damn it, the system cursed. I can't hurt humans, I can only dodge. Aiden's voice turned sharp. Wait, don't run. If Kale kills you, it'll count as him losing control, not our failure. Once you die, I can pull you out. Come here and take a hit for me quick. He accidentally shouted aloud. Come here. Without thinking, I ran toward him, spreading my arms, eyes shut tight, tears streaming. I waited for the sword's impact, but instead an arm wrapped around my waist, lifting me off the ground. What? No, the system shouted in disbelief. I opened my eyes to see Kale's face, his dark eyes burning with fury and sorrow. You obey him so completely you'd even die for him? No, I began, but my words cut off as Kale vaulted upward, carrying me across the rooftops. Wind roared in my ears. I clutched his robes in panic. Don't panic, I'm coming. That lunatic will torture you. I swear, if he demands it, give him the sachet right away. We'll fix the plot later, okay? The system's voice trembled. Kale landed in his mansion and tossed me onto a velvet divan. His expression was cold as winter. I wiped my tears and tried to sound proud. Don't think I'm afraid of you. He arched a brow and stepped closer until my slippers brushed his robes. I shrank back, but he grabbed my shoulders, then gently cupped my chin and wiped away a tear with his thumb. What did he do to you to make you like this? He asked softly, but there was steel beneath the calm. Huh? When the system realized who he meant, it exploded. What's that supposed to mean? Slander. He didn't do anything? I said quickly. Kale's face darkened. You fool, he murmured, tapping my forehead. He told you to block a sword for him, made you do his dirty work, and you still defend him? His grip tightened slightly, urgency leaking into his voice. Faye, stop covering for him. I know who Aiden really is. He's a monster who turned you against me. That's it. I'll kill you, Kale. I swear. The system raged, voice crackling in my head. I shook my head wildly. No, it was me. I wanted to hurt you. Kale stared at me for a long moment, then slowly lowered his hands. I stood trembling, but met his eyes anyway, tall, strong, and unreadable. He looked like a lone wolf cornered, but still proud. I wiped my face and whispered, I'm sorry, but you're a bastard, and I have to bully you. He raised one eyebrow. Keep going, the system urged. Insult him. Slap him if you must. I'm almost there. He won't hurt you. But this time I didn't listen. For the first time since all this began, there was no script, no voice guiding me, just my own trembling heart. As the stupid idiot, I stammered. I scrambled onto my tiptoes, reaching for his face. Did he lean down slightly, or was it my imagination? My palm landed lightly against his cheek. Kale smiled. Both I and the system, still struggling through the guards outside, froze. Feel better now that you've hit me? He asked. I nodded instinctively. Kale gently dabbed at the corners of my reddened eyes. Then stop crying these little pearls. The #1 monster of the story, the male lead, whose cruelty was legendary, had just called my tears little pearls. I was dumbfounded. The system went completely silent. "I'm heading back," it finally said, its tone a strange mix of despair and amusement. "You two talk." A sigh followed. When did the plot get so messed up? He was right. In the original story, I was supposed to be forced to drink poison that burned my insides, branded every day and broken joint by joint before dying a miserable death. The current scene was nothing like that. "Kale, I want to go home," I said timidly. He took my wrist. Click. A pair of delicate golden shackles lined with soft rabbit fur clicked around it. Kale shook his head slowly. "What did you call me, Kale?" "And what are you supposed to call me?" "Brother," I mumbled, defeated. "That's better." He smiled again for a bloodthirsty tyrant. He smiled far too much. "Can you let me go now?" I asked meekly. Kale's face fell. "You're still thinking about Aiden." "Brother Aiden isn't what you think he is." I found courage to defend him. "You're so timid. Yet for him you dare to talk back to me. That is his greatest crime," Kale said coldly. He tugged on the chain, pulling me closer. Confused and nervous, I looked up. "What are you supposed to call him?" "Brother Aiden." The chain tightened. "Aiden." Tighter still, pressing my face to his chest. My cheeks burned. I was utterly helpless. Kale leaned close, his voice a low murmur in my ear. "Wrong. You won't need to call him anything anymore because, as of tomorrow, he'll be a dead man." Horror surged through me. "No, I won't let you." I lashed out with all my strength. Kale caught my hands, eyes blazing. "Why not?" His voice was thick with fury and hurt. "You brought me soup. I'm your brother. It was you who seduced me." Then he kissed me. A desperate, hungry kiss, as if the darkness he had suppressed for years had finally erupted. A strange warmth spread through me, chasing away fear. His hands were strong, steady, protective. My trembling subsided completely. I wasn't afraid of Kale anymore. "Host, it's okay," the system whispered for the first time softly. "I was going to destroy this body anyway after the mission. The mission is what mattered. Don't fight over a disposable vessel. Besides," it added quietly, "there's no need to complete the mission. Kale has already fallen for you." Outside, thunder rattled the windows, and sheets of rain battered the estate. A lone figure appeared among the trees, blood streaming from his hand, sword in grip. He glanced once toward the window, then vanished into the storm. Kale kept me prisoner. He called it a brother, teaching his sister not to associate with bad influences, as is his right and duty. The system never used its physical form as Aiden again. To the outside world, Aiden disappeared without a trace that stormy night. Kale was gentle. Despite all the terrible things I'd done, even burning his mother's sachet, he never scolded or bullied me. "Host, have you started to like him a little?" the system asked. My face heated. It paused, hesitant. "Actually, there's something I never told you." Its voice was strained. "You can't be bound to a system and complete missions like this if you're still alive." "What do you mean?" I whispered. "Host, you can't return to your original world. The you in that world died during a high-risk surgery." I froze, biting my lip in denial. The system's tone softened, but remained cruel. "I'm sorry, I didn't know how to tell you. I thought if I hid it, you might like the new world better." Tears streamed down my face. "I don't want a new world. I want my mom and dad." For the first time, I defied the system. I repeated it over and over. "I want to see my mom and dad. I'm not dead." "You're lying." A small, cold part of me, though, already knew the truth. My beautiful dream had shattered. Pain nodded at me, heavy and unrelenting. I cried for so long I didn't notice Kale enter. He rushed over, voice filled with concern. "What's wrong?" I clutched his robes like he was my last hope. "Please, I want to go home." Kale's voice softened. He clumsily wiped my tears. Okay, Faye. I won't kill them. Once I've handled the coronation, we'll go home and see your father." I shook my head, sobbing. "Not him. Not him." Kale tensed, understanding immediately. He patiently wiped my tears, though a trace of irritation crept into his voice. "Fine. I'll let you go if you can return my mother's sachet to me exactly as it was." I lowered my head. The weight of despair crushed me. I reached into my robes, retrieved the hidden sachet, and placed it in his hand. "I'm sorry." Then I pushed him away and stumbled into the wall, oblivious to the mechanical voice that followed. Ding, analysis complete. The universally despised script has reached its successful conclusion. I'd always been a people pleaser. As a child, my parents were often away on business. I missed them terribly, but never dared ask them to return. When I grew older, classmates bullied me. I assumed it was because I cried too much. Then the system appeared and I entered a world I'd never known. On the very first day, I cried because I missed my mom and dad. The system called me a crybaby and a coward. Other transmigrators were brave enough to challenge the heroine for the male lead. I had nothing, only the villain's script. I sobbed at the strange, unfamiliar words. Why? Why would anyone steal the heroine's man? Haven't you read a novel? The system explained impatiently. Most protagonists have a golden finger. They can't die. You people, it continued, are all souls with lingering attachments sent by headquarters to different worlds to play roles. Perform well, complete your mission, and you'll get to go to a new world where you can be happy and immortal. Why? I asked. Because the new world needs cooperative souls as supporting characters, it explained. Some souls, however, want to be a big fish in a small pond. They stay in their story worlds. And how do you survive? By becoming the protagonist? By seizing immortality? I was confused. If I finish my mission, can I see my mom and dad? Yes, fine. The system snapped. You have no ambition. You deserve the villain script. Hearing it say yes, I was too happy to speak. The villain script was fine. As long as I could go home, I would do anything, even die. I opened my eyes. Kale was holding me tightly. A strange, desperate howl filled the room, a sound of pure blood-soaked agony. His tears fell one by one, wetting my cheeks. It was the first time I'd ever met someone who cried more than I did, the first time anyone other than my parents had ever cried for me. I heard the system's voice. You're back. You're Kale's heroine now. You can't die. It lowered its tone. And it's not like dying would have let you see your parents anyway. I'm sorry. It's okay. You had your reasons, I said softly. The system took a shaky breath and cleared its throat. However, since you've technically completed the villain script, I can apply to headquarters to let you visit your original world as a soul, but you won't be able to go to the new world. Thank you, I said sincerely. A flash of white light. I saw my parents. They were older now, white streaks in their hair, standing quietly in front of my tombstone. My dad had his arm around my mom, his eyes red. I walked forward and reached for my mother's hand. She turned as if sensing me and smiled. My heart leaped, but then I realized she was smiling at a small child running toward them. Sweetheart, slow down. You'll fall, she said. I watched them hug, then hold hands as they walked to their car. It was good. I was glad they hadn't been trapped in grief too long, glad they had found the courage to start a new life. Host, do you want to keep watching? No, thank you, Mr. System. Actually, maybe I can negotiate with headquarters. You were only in your original world for a moment. It seems a bit harsh to bar you from the new world for that. I was silent. It's no big deal, the system muttered. Just a few reports of self-criticism. Easy. It tried to sound cheerful to joke and make me feel better. I'm a resident of the new world, you know. I just finished paying off my mortgage. I can show you around. You can live in my big house. Stay as long as you want. Host. I shook my head. I want to find Kale. The system said nothing. I looked down. He loves me very much. My death would cause my parents pain, and it would cause him pain too. I don't want anyone to be in pain because of me anymore. Maybe it's because I've always been a people pleaser, and maybe it's because I've fallen in love with him. Okay, the system agreed. Another flash, and I was back in the story world. I looked at Kale and reached out to touch his face. He flinched. Then his eyes widened in disbelief. Joy, shock, and overwhelming relief washed over him. I wiped away his tears just as he had done for me so many times. Don't cry. I cupped his face and gently kissed his lips. Okay, Kale whispered. I won't cry anymore. We had a long life ahead of us.